minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
The best 60 minutes of your day and the busiest 60 minutes because it's Rainman, and we still got a Rainman to make up.
We do.
Didn't get to it yesterday.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do it not today, but later this week. Rainman, 1-800-990-3776. Caller number 5. You could win. You could win Cousin Subs for a year. What do we have for leader? Isn't it 9?
Still Terry and Waukesha with 9. Yes.
We will also have Jason Wilde, and we will have Tim Van Voren. And Tim Van Voren's scouting bureau, highly, highly touted on this show. Tyron is the guy who says you're going to see play more. So remember that. Tyron. I don't have to tell you his last name. It doesn't matter. I think he's the only Tyron on the team.
Was it Tyron Hooper?
That it is. Nicely done. Do you know anything about him?
No, I have no idea anything about him now.
1-800-990-3776. Rainman is brought to you by our great partners. Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service. And, as I've added recently, and I apologize for not mentioning earlier because it explains why they're so good. They've been doing it well for over 50 years. They were good the first year. Imagine how good you would be after over 50 years. Locally owned. So, Saganiac Planning, now a name synonymous with employee benefits, top-notch service, and doing it well for over 50 years. A phone number you can remember. All you got to remember is 783. Because it's 262-783. Roger Maris, 6161.
That number again, 262-783-6161.
And I understand Roger Maris. He did this in 1961. It would have been nice if Judge would have hit 61 home runs, but nobody has hit exactly 61. So you got to work with Roger Maris, and you probably would benefit from knowing that. Playing at a time when Mickey Mantle was the star and everybody wanted Mickey Mantle to set the record. I don't know who held a record as long as Roger Maris did to where he wasn't the proper person with the record. Of all the people who hit home runs, Roger Maris basically did it well for 1 year, and yet he held the record at the time that he did it. Mickey Mantle led with home runs most of that season and then faded at the end, and Roger Maris ended with 61. And when he hit his 61st home run, and I believe it was at Yankee Stadium, you could check, there were like 12,000 people there. There was actually very little of any interest in Roger Maris. And in fact, I don't know if they did polls back then. If we had done the Discount Liquor Twitter poll question, the majority of people would have been against Roger Maris breaking Babe Ruth's record of 60 home runs. All right. We have a contestant already. And I believe he's been a contestant before. Sean in Sun Prairie, you're on 94.5 ESPN. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Homer.
Sean is a very strong supporter and appreciate it. Very helpful. He is the current president of the Homer Hour Institute, helping out with various stats when necessary to make sure that we're accurate. I don't think you've ever won the Rainman
I
competition.
tied for the lead, and Tony Smith did not pick my phone number.
Yes. Were you part
So I
of
have
the
a beef with
three-way
him.
tie or the two-way tie?
I was three-way tie.
Wow. So appreciate
So
your
I'm
support.
bitter about it. Let's go.
And what?
I'm bitter about it.
You should
Let's
be bitter
go.
about it. That doesn't help you, but you should still be bitter about it. Yes. And just so you know, the first question is the Big Papa Saganiac Planning Marquette trivia question. And then, so it's the first question is about Marquette. And if Sean would tie, as he knows, then he can't participate again. The leader or leaders are out until someone breaks their number. So the first question is the Saganiac Planning Marquette trivia question. We don't have any need to help Sean. He knows how the game is played. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, go. How old is Shaka Smart within 1 year?
43.
Incorrect. How old am I?
69.
Correct. Since 1992, the Packers have played 34 games against Detroit in the state of Wisconsin. How many losses? 6, 8, or 10?
6.
Correct. I went to 3 colleges. Name one.
Wisconsin.
Correct. Where did Tony Smith play high school basketball?
Wauwatosa East.
Correct. The last Lions player to be the Lions head coach.
Matt Patricia.
Incorrect. Green Bay wide receiver who started at the same college where Matt LaFleur was a quarterback.
Jaden Reed.
Correct. Oregon is number 1 in the country. College football. Who is their coach?
Pass.
According to Brad Nortman, the greatest punter ever is.
Brad Norman.
Incorrect. What is Wisconsin's football record?
Pass.
What is Indiana's football record?
Pass.
Leading the NFL in rushing yards. Name the player.
Josh Jacobs.
Incorrect. What number is Josh Jacobs in rushing yards? Clearly, he's not number 1.
Number 2.
Incorrect. Leads the NFL in passing touchdowns this season.
Baker Mayfield.
Correct. Quarterback leads the NFL in interceptions with 10.
Jordan Love.
Correct. Oregon is number 1 in the country. Who is the coach?
Dan Lanning.
Is that soon enough?
I think we can give it to him, yeah.
Okay. Got to check that because I think that is 9.
I got 9 as well, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold on. Let me see if I have 7 or 8. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
count mine here.
5, 6. 7. Hold on. 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 8.
Yeah, I have 8 as well. Yeah,
Not 9.
Yeah. I have 8.
But let's check.
All right.
Sean is very fair, but I don't want to screw him. All right. Let's see if we got 8. How old is Shaka Smart within 1 year?
47?
He is 47, so 46 to 48. How old am I? 69. Sean nailed that one. That's 1. Since 1992, the Packers have played 34 games against Detroit in the state of Wisconsin. How many losses? 6, 8, or 10? 6 is a correct answer. They were actually 28-5, now 28-6. So that's 2. I went to 3 colleges. Name 1. Wisconsin is 1.
Arizona and University of Indiana South Bend. I think
That's
was,
correct.
yeah.
That's all 3. Where did Tony Smith play high school basketball? Yes, Tosa East. The last Detroit Lions player to be Lions head coach?
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. Sean will feel bad about that. Green Bay wide receiver who started at the same college where Matt LaFleur was a quarterback. It is Jaden Reed. What school was it? I think pretty sure it's Western Michigan. Oregon is number 1 in the country. College football. Who is the coach? Dan Lanning is correct. According to Brad Nortman, greatest punter ever is?
Jeff Fiegels? I don't know.
Nope, I asked him. Ray Guy. I believe he's the only punter in the Football Hall of Fame. You got to be old, I guess, to know that. What is Wisconsin's football record? I was surprised Sean didn't know
5-4.
5-4. What is Indiana's football record?
Undefeated 9-0.
9-0. Either one would have got. leading the NFL in rushing yards. Very disappointed that Sean missed this.
Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry. He's over 1,000, I believe. Not even close. What number is Josh Jacobs in rushing yards?
I think he's third.
He is third, and Sean got 2. Right now, Sean's thinking I should have 10. Leads the NFL in passing yards. It is Baker Mayfield. Quarterback leads the NFL in interceptions. It is Jordan Love with 10, but another answer would have been correct as well.
Mahomes?
Geno Smith also has 10. So are we right that we have 8?
I have 8, yeah.
Yeah. Sean?
I had 3 out there. I could have had.
Yes, I feel bad for you. You could have had 11.
Derrick Henry, and I should have known Madison's record. I don't think I would have got Indiana, though.
Well, Indiana, you are aware they're unknown. You either would have picked 8-0 or 9-0 or something in there. And then Dan Campbell, last Lions player.
0-8.
Everybody out there is thinking, Sean, those questions were easier. Were they easier this week, Pebble? Slightly?
They were slightly easier, yeah.
All right. But they were tough ones.
Yeah.
I actually asked Brad Nortman in when I was here before, the greatest punter ever. And actually, he's too nice a person to name himself. But I mean, he was good, but not that. You need to look up Ray Guy. Because I'm almost certain he's the only punter in the Football Hall of Fame. And he played at Southern Miss, and then he was a punter with the Raiders. But I think he played other positions in college, not just punter. To check. Norton was a very good high school football player. Yeah, but I mean, I got to ask you this one, Sean. How the hell did you not know Derrick Henry? I mean, I don't know. What were you thinking?
Overthought it. Overthought it.
He is at 1,052 yards. He has 11 touchdowns. He's averaging. He's averaging 117 per game. I'd like to know what the record. I think the record is held, I believe, by Jim Brown in yards per game for a season. We'll have to look that up. But
could be Eric Dickerson though too.
That's correct, but he played more games. When Jim Brown had his incredible records, I think he was at 12 games. Yeah, we'll have to look that. Well, you know who. We'll have to look that up. But you know who has to look that up? You. By the way, help people out. Talking with Sean and Prairie. This doesn't get you a 9th one. You're still at 8. But tell them the different places you go to now. There are a couple places where you can really get great stats. And you go there.
Yeah, StatMuse is right? Probably one of the better ones. You got to pay for it, but StatMuse is a good one.
Yeah, I get some of the stuff for free. You have to pay for it to get the really StatMuse. It's StatMuse.
Yeah, because they give you like a column of some of the stats, but then you have to, as you go further down the list, they block it off. You have to pay for the rest of it.
What is it? $5 a month or something? Is it more than that?
It's cheap.
I'd go with 5. I'd be willing to ante up 5 a month. Any other place that you go to? I mean, everybody knows Pro Football Reference, Basketball Reference.
Pro Football Reference
those are free. But StatMuse
well.
is, I think it's new. I don't remember it that many years ago. I'll defer to you on this. It hasn't been around that long, has it?
It's fairly new. I got to believe it's fairly new.
And they're pretty good at weird stats. Like you can literally ask them about anything. I don't know what we put up regarding the Packers or something about how many. It was over 6 or 7 games. How many touchdowns was it, Jaden Reed or somebody like that? And they had different stats that were.
I did. That's where I got those stats from with StatMuse. Yep.
All right, we will look it up. Pebble, we'll look up StatMuse and see about NFL record rushing yards per game. I'm almost certain that it's held by Jim Brown. But anyway, any stat you want to leave us with?
I read in the paper. I read in the Journal Sentinel. You're not doing pregame anymore. For Marquette.
I have not done pregame for a number of years. Gabe Neitzel does pregame, and now he's actually on the road during pregame. So
it is Jim Brown, 104.3 yards per game.
104?
Yeah, yards per game. Yeah.
Well, you got Derrick Henry at 116.9 and Saquon Barkley at 115.6. I would say Jim Brown's going down, right?
Yeah, Henry for his career is 82.5.
But, I mean, Henry's going to break 104 this year because he's with Baltimore, and they're just going to keep giving
Barry
the ball
Sanders is second, Terrell Davis third, Eric Dickerson fourth, and then Walter Payton is 5.
Yeah.
So, there you have it. Look for Derrick Henry. I just want to let you know, if you break a Jim Brown record in the NFL, that's impressive. So, Sean, appreciate your support of the show. He's the one who helps out on Twitter.
Homer. Thank you.
And sorry you only got 8, but it's pretty much on you. Guys. All right. Jason Wilde next with Tim Van Vorn still to come.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Well, we got still some backups on 94 eastbound coming out of the Barker Road area to about Brookfield Road, and then you're back on the brakes from 92nd Street all the way through the Stadium interchange to 35th. Southbound 43's got some backups from Hampton down to Capitol, back on the brakes from North Avenue down through the Marquette interchange and over the high-rise bridge. Westbound 894 heavy out of the Mitchell to Loomis. And then on the bypass southbound, we got backups from Lincoln all the way down and around the Hale interchange onto 894 eastbound to about Forest Home. Traffic is brought to you by James Imaging Systems, your local document imaging partner. Visit jamesimaging.com. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low of 40, and then tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 58. Weather's brought to you by the Corners of Brookfield. Head to the Corners for all of your gifting needs and find something for everyone at any of their 30-plus restaurants and retailers. thecornersofbrookfield.com. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Loziga on 94.5 ESPN.
It doesn't matter if it's your first betting slip ever or just the first one of the week. We've got your Potawatomi sportsbook picks covered. Tune in Wednesdays to the Weekly Wager with Greg Matzik, Ben Brust, and Jen Latta.
If someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything, you take it.
The Weekly Wager, Wednesday nights at 6, right here on 94.5 ESPN, the Wisconsin On Demand app, and ESPN Milwaukee's YouTube channel.
Who's looking for a deal? Well, Cousin Subs has a better deal just for you. Cousin's new $10 meal deals are now available online only. Choose between a 7.5-inch ham and provolone, turkey breast, or veggie sub, a bag of chips or regular fry, a regular fountain beverage, and cookie at cousinsubs.com or on the mobile app for just $10. Now that's a better deal. Cousin Subs, we believe in better. Available at participating locations only. Offer subject to change without notice.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman from ESPN Wisconsin's Kyle Brust and Nortman. I love this time of year. Playoff baseball, the start of hoop season, and of course, football. I'm all about watching the action on the gridiron with a carbless in my hand. Premium, ready-to-drink cocktails with no malt, no carbs, and no sugar. Vodka cocktail flavors like cranberry, black raspberry, and lemon lime, and classic cocktail flavors like Paloma or Margarita. Find Carbless at your local grocer and enjoy game day. Carbless. Less is more.
After a series of meetings with the James Imaging Systems sales rep, Matheson Manufacturing chose document imaging technology from James. Matheson Manufacturing President Al Leininger.
They have a reputation out in the field. They've been around for a long, long time. I was really impressed with it.
I also understand you're impressed with the document imaging technology.
Yes, it's quicker, it's faster. We can do a lot more with the copy functions.
James Imaging Systems, better document imaging technology, better support, even lower printing costs.
Yes, definitely. I think the lease is very cost effective for us. It certainly helps with cash flow, and it's just good.
Al, anything else you'd like to add about your experience with James Imaging Systems?
Yes, James Imaging has been a really good partner with us from the beginning.
Start your business technology partnership with James Imaging Systems today. Call 262-781-7700. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Have you been patiently waiting and waiting some more for the right time to buy your first home? Hi, it's John Reeves from Great Midwest Bank, here to remind you that our experienced loan officers can answer questions and provide insight every step of the way. And we're happy to make purchasing a home a little easier by offering a closing cost credit for qualified first-time buyers. Be sure to ask about down payment assistance, too. Find a loan officer near you at greatmidwestbank.com. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. It's time for Jason Wilde on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Everybody should get information about the Green Bay Packers every day of the year from Jason Wilde. We don't do it every day here. We're getting closer, but most importantly, go to WisconsinOnDemand.com. And you got Jason Wilde. You just hit the button, and then you get all Jason Wilde. He does like 100 different shows. He's so big, he does shows that aren't even part of our company. Pebble, have you ever heard of that?
I have not heard of that ever in my life.
But I want to work for... But no, you work for us. I do a show for somebody else. I want to know what I was listening to, and I go like, Jason Wilde was on some station I just went through. Good evening, Jason. How are you today?
You gotta stop doing this. It's so awkward. Like, just stop. You're not really interested. So we're good. I'm just happy to be with you, Stephen.
I can't win either way. Pebble, I try it one way, he's not happy. I try it another way, he's not happy.
Yep.
What, Pebble, if you were my consultant, how would you say? Just do whatever Jason wants?
Exactly.
All right, okay. All right, Jason.
Say hi.
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 I believe and think the Packers are a better team than I thought they were when they started the season, but I don't have anybody joining that club. It's because the number of young players that they have that are better than I thought, and I'm more excited about the end of the season than I was at the start of the season. How are you?
Well, what were your expectations?
Well, my expectations were they'd be pretty good, but I just think the wide receivers, the young kids are better than I thought. The tight end's better than I thought, and they have a couple of defensive players, Williams and Cooper, just for starters, who I didn't know about. So even with no pass rush, the overall view of things is better than I thought going in. So I'm curious as to how you would analyze the team going in and now.
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting at 6-3. They've got 8 games left. I think I picked them to go 11-6, so that would mean they would go 5-3 over the last 8, which contains, at least we thought going into the season, a game at Detroit, a game at Minnesota, a matchup with the 49ers, who appear to be getting healthier, and a home and home with the Bears. And, Matt LaFleur's 10-0 against them in his tenure, but, it doesn't mean that he's going to necessarily go to 12-0. I don't think they're better or worse. I think they're kind of what I expected. Like, I expected some growing pains for Jordan Love. I thought he would, as good as he was down the stretch last season, I thought that with defenses and coaches having more information on him and more film on him, that he would run into some bumps in the road, and he has. Now, I did not anticipate him having double-digit interceptions through 9 games, 6.5 of which he actually played in. But I didn't think it was going to be easy. I don't think there's anybody from a second-year player perspective who is like head and shoulders better than I thought he was going to be. Tucker Kraft has certainly made a very big jump, but if you were paying attention during the second half of last season, you could see that coming. It's a bigger jump than I anticipated, but I expected him to make a big jump. And frankly, I thought Luke Musgrave would too, and not only did he not make a jump, but now he's hurt, and we don't even know if he'll play again this season. He's had surgery. So, but Jaden Reed is who I thought he was, right?
Don't you think he's even better than you thought he was? He's been one of the...
No, he led them in receptions.
I know, but he's one of the top receivers in the NFL, or to be under consideration.
Yeah, I mean, he was, at least statistically he was, and then he had a couple games where they couldn't get him the ball. And then he had another, obviously, big game against the Lions, although you could, argue that a little bit of it was inconsequential in terms of the yardage.
I would agree.
But he is a undeniably good player. I think,
and Josh Kraft Jacobs as well. Like, I think of what you said that Ron Wolf used to say. It's about field tilters. All right, Kraft, I believe, is a field tilter. Would you agree?
I don't think. Like, for instance, sorry, I'm walking the dogs. Let me give you another example. Mm-hmm. I think Josh Jacobs has been maybe a little bit better than I expected him to be, but not, again, head and shoulders better. Like, the guy's been a workhorse back. He's been a 1,000-yard back. He led the league in rushing a couple of years ago. Like, I don't know why Bill Barnwell said they might be disappointed in him, because I didn't believe that story.
He's
but the bottom
third
line
in the league in rushing.
Right, and a ton of carries. I mean, he went into the Lions game tied for the most carries with Derrick Henry. So, Jordan Love has been a little worse than I expected because of the interceptions and the 2 that were returned for touchdowns. The defense, I didn't know what to expect. But I would say that once we knew it was Jeff Hafley and once we got a better idea of what his system was going to be, I would say that Xavier McKinney has been even better than I thought. They paid him to be really good, and he has been even better than what they paid him. Obviously, Evan Williams, before he got hurt, and Edgerrin Cooper, who is emerging, have been very good draft picks who have helped right away. On the flip side, I think their defensive line has been a pretty serious disappointment. And Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness, I thought Rashawn Gary would be, back to his pre-injury form. I gave him a pass last year because he was coming off the ACL, and obviously, when I do a show with both Bulaga and Tauscher, that's 4 combined torn ACLs on the panel at once. So I understand that you're not yourself, even if you come back as quickly as he did last year, but he has not been anywhere near what I expected him to be. Lucas Van Ness, we all talked about how he looks like Hercules and everything else, but he has 1 sack and 6 pressures through 9 games. He's the 13th overall pick a year ago, and for all the talk that we did about how, the Packers fleeced the Jets in the Rodgers trade, which, given how things have played out in New York, I don't have a problem with people saying that. But the flip that they did, they ended up taking, at this point anyway, the lesser of the 2 edge rushers because Lucas Van Ness hasn't been very good, and Will McDonald, who I think is a Wisconsin guy, who went to Iowa State, has been really good for the Jets. So I guess what I'm saying is that I think the disappointments or the guys that haven't been as good as advertised cancel out a little bit the guys that have been a little bit better than I thought they would be. McKinney's been far better. McKinney's been so good that, as Tausch and I have talked about a bunch, I can't for the life of me fathom why Joe Shane, the GM for the Giants, would let him get out the door. I just can't believe it. So on balance, I think they're about what I thought they would be. Now, if they go to Detroit and they go to Minnesota and they beat both those teams and they're in the hunt for the division title, then, I think that they will have overcome. And I'm completely glossing over the fact that they did this with Malik Willis at quarterback for 2.5 games, and in all 3 of those games, they won. That's a big deal. But if they're not able to overtake the Lions for the division, right now, if the season ended today, the Packers would be the number 7 seed, just like they were last year. But you feel completely different about them than you felt last year, right? You felt like they weren't very good at this point last season, and then they caught lightning in a bottle. Are they going to do that again? Are they going to be kind of the same team they've been in the first half, where they're inconsistent and there's some really good moments and then there's some not so good moments? I don't know. That's why they play the games and why I'm looking forward to covering them all. But I thought they'd be good. I think they are good. Are they as good as they need to be to get to New Orleans for Super Bowl 59? At this point, I would say no. But again, I wouldn't have said at this point in the season in 2010 that team was going to win the Super Bowl either.
But isn't that your reservation, I'm assuming, is 90% on Jordan Love? If Jordan Love was playing not even as well as the last 8 games, but say he had, it was still impressive, then wouldn't that be changing totally your view of this team? Not to mention him staying healthy. That's the other part.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they don't win the division now, they're not going to get to play at home potentially at all. I suppose if they're the number 5 seed and a couple of teams that have home games in the first round lose, somehow they could end up with one, I guess. They'd beat somebody and someone else would knock off a even higher seed maybe. But the bottom line is that they're just not. It's not just who they are. It's not just how certain guys are playing like Love. It's also the road that they're facing now. And while I don't think winning the division is out of the question, there's plenty of games left for them to do that. I think going to the Super Bowl and winning all your games on the road like the 2010 team did is really, really hard. And I don't know if they're – I said this going into the season. This to me feels like maybe that 95 team, which I know is now 30 years ago, and it was the year before I started covering the team. But I remember being in Luke's Sports Spectacular on Water Street with one of my best friends from high school. And I had graduated from college. I was home for that weekend, and we watched the Packers go into San Francisco and knock off the defending Super Bowl champs. Now, they also had a lead in the NFC Championship game in Dallas, but didn't win. But that felt like the next logical step for that team. And then the following year, and I know we've got people who are young enough that they don't remember any of this, and I'm dating myself. But the next year, I mean, they were on the cover of Sports Illustrated. They're supposed to be them against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And even when they hit a rough patch midway through the season in '96, you felt like this is a Super Bowl team. And that's exactly what they were. I think the Packers of 2024 are probably a year away from being that team. I wouldn't say that they can't do it, but again, another example.
But I would say the benefit is the Dallas they lost to is not. There's not a Dallas in the NFC. I mean, they beat San Francisco, but Dallas was the best team or thought to be. Now this year, there's no team like that in the NFC. If they are what 95 was, they'll be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, they also, look, I've watched way too many playoff games with Brett Favre, who threw interceptions that cost them dearly, or with Aaron Rodgers, who didn't play at the level that he is expected to play at, and they lost those games. The playoffs are a crapshoot. I'm not going out on that creaky limb, especially with a team that, what's their signature win? Houston's their signature win. I mean, I guess, the Cardinals are proving me a little bit wrong by leading the NFC West, but I'm not sold on them. I still think they're not very good. But, they go into Detroit again, like they did on Thanksgiving last year, and beat them, then I'm a little more willing to entertain Super Bowl possibilities.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to pass along as far as information, given that everybody talks, and although it's the bye week, so the talking doesn't mean as much.
That's just me. I'm just walking the dogs. They have all scattered across the countryside, and they do not have to be back until they go to practice on Monday. So I did think there was something really interesting. Rob Domofsky, like the Rob Domofsky of Pittsburgh, her name's Brooke Pryor, talked to Preston Smith today.
And he said he'd ask for a trade.
Yeah, which I found to be extremely interesting.
Really?
Especially, just because Goody had said it's not like we're calling around asking teams if they wanted Preston Smith. Oh, I don't know if he asked for a trade.
Yes. Yeah. No, I can just tell right. No, he just lied to you.
So
right? I mean, don't you agree he lied? Because clearly they were. He would be reckless if not to. He just didn't want to tell you that Preston Smith asked to be traded unless Preston Smith wanted to say it, right? I mean, this one's easy.
I know he probably didn't have to. I guess what I would say is if you're going to classify that as a lie.
Of course it's a lie.
Is what you did. I did not.
Why not?
I don't know. But if you view it that way, what I would just say is it was unnecessary, right? Like no one asked him. No one asked him, did you call around the league about Preston Smith and trading him? He offered that up.
Right.
So, but anyway, my point is that, I had done a story last Sunday going into the game on Jeff Hafley and how much buy-in he had. I talked to 12 different defensive players who all were 100% in. Preston Smith was not one of them. Not because I avoided him or didn't want to talk to him. It was because, generally speaking, he's not in there when we're in the locker room. And I won't be in there ever again. Right, but that makes sense.
He was playing less and less, right?
Right. So they clearly, he was unhappy, but so were they. And again, the other thing that I would just underline that Goody did say, which I thought was significant, was when I asked him about, Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness, he had an opportunity to downplay the disappointment that the defensive line group has been, and he did not do it. He said, all of those guys have to play better. We expected them to play better.
He just didn't focus on one player when the entire world is focusing on Gary, given...
Right, but we know, Lucas Van Ness hasn't played well enough either.
The comparison to them... Pick. Yeah, but no, what are they making as far as dollars? And how long have they been playing? It's unfair to compare him to Gary.
It's not unfair. It's imbalanced because obviously the expectations for Rashawn Gary are much higher.
Yes.
But whether it's Rashawn Gary, whether it's Lucas Van Ness, frankly, one of my guys, Kenny Clark, he's another one who has not played at that level.
Clark would be second on the list.
Oh, again, if you're basing it on experience and their pay stubs, no doubt. But I do think Lucas Van Ness, we always hear about the year 1 to year 2 jump.
Right.
And now we're going to find out if he makes that or not, because he's going to have a hell of an opportunity to do so.
He would be a disappointment if the two of the others weren't even a greater disappointment. He has benefited from the greater disappointment of the others.
Well said.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
We quit on that. Thanks, Jason.
All right, Homer. Take care. Be
Whenever
good.
Jason agrees, assuming we've been on for a couple minutes. Done. Holtebeck Eye Center. Like everything about him, because Dr. Aaron Holtebeck is continuing to figure out a way to solve all the vision problems at whatever your age and whatever the situation. So their Brookfield office, they make vision care a top priority with the latest technologies at their state-of-the-art office for whatever the situation. He's been helping local patients with their eye care needs for over 20 years. Now he's added the addition of Dr. Nausheen Abbas because she can help with other things so they can cover everything with incredible expertise. Don't mess with your vision. Trust the experts from Holtebeck Eye Center in Brookfield near the corner of Calhoun and Capitol. Learn more at holtebeck.com. And yes, so you'll like me, I tell you about Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin. On Forest Home in Franklin. I don't mention it very often enough, the location. Family business owned since 1931. It's not what they do, it's who they are. They are so good. Everybody who listens to me and goes there raves about Homer. You're right. And then they like Fisco. And then they like me for mentioning and then telling them about the place. So, yes, it helps my reputation. It's not the top of the list, but near. Fisco Auto Body and Forest Home in Franklin, Expert workmanship guaranteed for the life of your vehicle. Fisco, so you remember the name. Tim Van Voren. Not next, but soon.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Eastbound 94, going to be slow right from Highway 164 on and off the brakes all the way through past Barker Road. Then back on the brakes from 92nd Street through the Stadium interchange. Westbound's going to be slow from about 16th Street all the way to Mitchell Boulevard. Southbound 43, kind of a hefty ride there from Hampton all the way down to about North Avenue. On the northbound side, a little bit slow too from North Avenue up past Locust. And then 894 eastbound slowing down coming through the Hale interchange to about Forest Home. Also a little slow on the Rock Freeway heading northbound out from Highway 100 into the Hale. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, partly cloudy, a low of 40. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 58. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Did you know Love was born November 2nd? Did you know Love was raised in Bakersfield, California? Did you know Love played college football at Utah State? Are you looking for lots of Love touchdowns the rest of this football season? Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor, where we love being your one-stop shop for everything alcohol-related. With our selection of over 15,000 varieties of beer, wine, liquor, and mixers, all at the lowest prices in town, Discount Liquor has all your tailgating needs covered. We are your football party beverage headquarters. Discount Liquor, 2 locations, Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma and in downtown Waukesha on Barstow and Maine.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings. Discount Liquor.
See all of our weekly specials at discountliquorinc.com.
They say seeing is believing, and when you see what's inside at American Place Casino, you better believe you're gonna love it. Because when it comes to amazing gaming, we're a real game changer. With the most exciting of table games like blackjack, craps, and roulette, the newest slots, a sports book, restaurants, bars, and more. So if you're ready for excitement, we'll see you soon. American Place Casino. Change the game.
Must be 21 years of age or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
It's time for the Ortho ASAP Minute from Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
I'm here with Dr. Chris Killian. Doctor, what makes an OAW surgeon different?
A very unique factor I think that we have at our group is that every single surgeon here is fellowship trained, meaning everyone has gone through specialty training in their specific area of focus. So if you come to get your knee replaced or if you come to see me and get your shoulder done, every single person that you come and see has specific advanced training in that field.
You mentioned that your specialty is shoulders. Shoulder issues can be complicated. How do you approach your patients?
Shoulder injuries are incredibly common with either young athletes or especially as people age, people develop shoulder issues, whether it's rotator cuff issues, arthritis. So we can get a sense of it ahead of time based on what their exam is like, what their MRI is like, what they're doing in therapy. But you're right, there's a wide breadth of surgeries that luckily we have a vast array of treatments for.
The Ortho ASAP Minute is sponsored by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here, reminding you that a lot of life's firsts are better with help from American Family Insurance, like your first home expansion or your first big lightning strike. There's a first for everything. Get the right home policy at the right price with the right help from American Family's agents. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Rainman is brought to you by Cousin Subs. Skip the line and order online with a Cousin Subs mobile app and join the Cousins Club. Cousin Subs, they believe in better. You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Tim Van Born coming up in a bit. Cole Leinart. Matt Leinart, remember him?
Yep.
This is his kid. Is Matt Leinart old enough to have a kid
Well, he
who was committed to SMU?
In 2006, so that was, 18 years ago? And I think he had a kid when he was in college also with his girlfriend.
Wow. I was going to say, you have a kid when he was 8? It's been that long, though, I guess, yeah. I've heard him. He's pretty good, I think, as an analyst, but it just surprises me. His kid is a junior at California's Redondo Union High School. He is it a 4-star? He picked SMU over Colorado, Arizona, and Utah.
I guess USC didn't offer.
Yeah, I that would tell me. I don't think he's at their level. But yeah, you're right. I would think they could have offered. Maybe they didn't offer. I mean, so much now is there a point in offering if you don't offer money? Because there's no way he's going to come. And then do they take it as kind of an embarrassment?
Well, I think you offer it. I think you offer the money thing or discuss the NIL thing when they make their visit prior to that.
Yeah, but I mean,
they have some kind of interest.
You know what the rate is, and so say USC says we'll give you $20,000. That's probably an embarrassment. I mean, what I don't know how schools decide to do that, but the money tells you how much they want you and nothing else. Tune in to Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR benefits consultant. Behind the Bucks dives deep into Bucks in 6, a culture unknowingly created by former Buck star Brandon Jennings. You would have thought 55. He's scored in the game as a rookie would have been the memory of Brandon Jennings, but no, it's Bucks in 6. I remember when he said it because it was idiotic. They ended up losing the Miami Heat in 4 games by an average of about 100 points each game. But, of course, the Bucks then did win. Bucks in 6, their title. The Brandon Jennings story, and the origin of Bucks in 6, I just gave you that. How it became the rallying cry and what it truly means to Jennings and Bucks fans alike. Find Behind the Bucks on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get your podcasts. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher. Can't wait to hear from Tim Van Vorn because Tyron is the guy. Tyron is the guy. Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service, and family-owned for over 50 years. That's how they can help you simplify confusing insurance decisions. They are great listeners. Attention to detail. The level-funded health insurance experts. You should ask about that. And this is the best way. Small enough to handle your needs with special attention and large enough to have the clout to make it happen. Yep. Because they've been working with various companies for a long time. They'll get it as good as you can get it, and they'll explain it and give you all the options. And a phone number you can remember. Saganiac Planning, 262-783. Roger Maris, 6161. 262-783-6161. How much is Tim Van Vorn going to tell us about his guy, Tyron, and his thoughts in 60 seconds or less about Jordan Love? Both are next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN. Even when you think you know what's going on, you can never be too sure.
I'm comfortable in saying this. This was the biggest waste of a season in Wisconsin sports history. This is worse than Ray Rhodes.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
But without Giannis, I have a hard time saying that.
Well, then give me a comparable. What was worse? Give me a worse season.
Chewy, that's easy. That's so easy.
What?
2011 Packers.
Morning 7 to 9 on 94.5 ESPN and available wherever you get your podcasts with Wisconsin On Demand.
This political season, you'll hear a lot of noise. But this November, Walker Media Agency has the expertise and team to improve your marketing, advertising, and IT. Start at WMA2024.com. Paid for by Matt Walker and Walker Media Agency.
Are you looking for reliable transportation this holiday season? I've got you covered. It's Jen Latta from ESPN Milwaukee, and with holiday parties, family gatherings, and year-end events on the horizon, I trust AccuTrans Group to handle all of my private transportation needs. Whether it's a corporate function or festive celebration, AccuTrans gets me there safely and on time. As a veteran-owned business, they pride themselves on top-notch service that you can count on. Booking is easy, stress-free, and reliable. Just visit AccuTransGroup.com to reserve your holiday ride today. That's AccuTransGroup.com.
Get ready for the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the 300K season finale giveaway at Potawatomi. Friday, December 20th, watch your entries from Bird Bash, Cash Clash, and Winter Stash. All pile into one massive drawing for a chance at up to 50 grand cash. Be there to win your share. December 20th, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Learn more at paysbig.com/finale. Must be 21 years old to play.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Thanksgiving's only a few weeks away, and Fleet Farm's got just what you need to prep for family and friends. For you turkey smokers, Griller's Gold barbecue pellets are just $5.99 a bag. And you can never have enough Fleet Farm mixed nuts. 2-pound bags are on sale for $12.99. Wash it all down with Bubbler's sparkling water. Now just $11 for 2 6-packs. The holidays will be here before you know it. So stock up now on everything you need at the best prices guaranteed at Fleet Farm. Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, Marcus and Chris are joined by MJ's TV partner, Lisa Byington. Find Here District now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
Do you know or work with kids who have special healthcare needs? Help them live their best lives. Contact Wisconsin Wayfinder Children's Resource Network. Our specialists will connect you with services in your area. Wisconsin Wayfinder is free and confidential. Call 877-947-2929 or visit dhs.wi.gov/WISCWAY. Connect today. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Every child deserves a safe, loving, and permanent home. Help the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption find families for children who've lingered in foster care the longest. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. The three most important letters in sports. Even better than those.
TVV.
It's Fox 6 Sports Director Tim Van Voren on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Tim Van Voren, Fox 6 Sports, three-time Wisconsin Sportscaster of the Year. But right now, he's Tyron. I don't remember his last name, but TVV tell us about him and says that guy's going to play some. Will he play more now? Is it more likely, given that Smith is gone? TVV, good afternoon. Good evening.
I think, good evening, Homer. Nice to see you the other night at the Marquette game. I would say, based on the current conversation, it's Aaron Mosby's the guy who's going to see the most immediate opportunity in the trade of Preston Smith. Tyron would be Tyron Hopper, more of an inside linebacker. He's going to get on the field a little bit more, too. To me, he's one of those guys who may not play a ton if everybody stays healthy all year. And all of a sudden, second year, you go, why wasn't that guy playing more last year? Or maybe he'll get out there this year through opportunity and show what he can do. Mosby's the guy who's done so well on special teams, got a little bit of look the other day, half a sack against the Lions. Then the Packers feel comfortable making the trade of Preston Smith. That's how Green Bay operates.
Are you surprised that Preston Smith asked to be traded? That's the story that's coming out from him.
And that's what he said at his media availability today, that he had requested a trade a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about here in the sports office at Fox 6. Was that an actual hard and fast demand, or was that, hey, talking to your coaches, I'd like to play more? Well, we're going to use the young guys as well. And he says, well, then get rid of me or something. Was it an offhand comment which could be taken as a trade request, or was it more than that? I don't know. I haven't heard that. I was surprised when he said that at his media availability today, but maybe I shouldn't have been surprised.
He hadn't been playing much, or what's the analysis of his play on the team? When somebody's not playing, somebody else is interested, you're going to trade him. Isn't it as simple as that?
I think so. We had heard Preston Smith's name on that trade, board at least over the last few weeks. And, in Green Bay, there had been kind of the presumption, if it wasn't exactly spelled out by the coaches, that, we're spotting him a little bit early in the year, and then, we'll count on him later in the year. Maybe that wasn't so much it. Maybe this was where they saw Preston Smith going. You also, let's be honest, you're opening up snaps for younger players. I think that's definitely a part of this. But you're also freeing up some salary cap money as well. So it's not exclusively to just make this better for Aaron Mosby, maybe Brenton Cox. I don't know about Brenton Cox, though, because, he's rarely active. Maybe he moves up the depth chart some, but he's not the guy I expect to see taking a lot of extra snaps now. Enigbare, Van Ness, Gary, and Mosby, those will be your four rushers.
Nobody knows anything about Mosby. Tell us. I want the Tim Van Voren Scouting Bureau on Aaron Mosby.
Okay.
Does he go by Aaron or Aaron? What is it? How does he?
It's Aaron, but it's Arron, so it's not the double A. Aaron, Arron. How much do you put into preseason? A lot of us just dismiss it. Aaron Mosley played his way into a role in the preseason. It took 8-9 games to really see that in the regular season. But he, during the preseason, particularly at the end of the preseason, was a standout performer for the Packers. That's what the coaches and scouts are looking at, the general manager are looking at. He was on the practice squad a year ago. He started out as a roster hopeful this year, and then he makes the team, really wasn't playing other than special teams. You're going to see him over the second half of the season. And he was a productive player at the tail end of the preseason. That's what the Packers see in him.
But don't they want to play their younger guys? Because the older guy isn't any good anymore. I mean, they're not... They have two guys left who are 30 years old. One of them's a kicker, so that's an asterisk. He's the opposite. We don't want a rookie kicker. We want a 30-year-old kicker. Yeah, kickers don't count. I don't count kickers in terms of the age.
So then they got one other player who's 30 years old. One other player on the roster now who's 30 years old with the trade of Preston Smith, and that's Eric Wilson, who's been he was a fringe off the street free agent pickup a couple years ago. And he's been a nice contributor, primarily special teams, but this year he's played pretty well on defense. The one thing you'll never really see mentioned about Eric Wilson, I would say, is he could have one of the greatest plays in Packer playoff history, Homer, and it's lost, as you often point out.
They didn't win the game.
The Packers didn't win the game, exactly.
Yeah. It's worse. I don't know if anybody's done the study. Has any team ever won or gone far in the playoffs with only one player, 30? Now, again, I don't count kickers. I don't count punters. I probably wouldn't even count a long snapper, but because they could be 100 and you can do that job. So does that seem really young? I don't know.
Seems young to me. How many did they have last year? Obviously, they had Preston Smith, but Eric Wilson was 29 last year.
So is there a risk? Is someone going to go TVV privately? Does this mean you're not really playing to win it all? Because you can't be playing to win it all with a team that young. Is that a fair statement or not?
I didn't think they were playing to win it all last year, and then people were disappointed, rightfully so, when they gave a game away in San Francisco in the second round of the playoffs. So things change. I think if the Packers look at big picture, they think they're knocking on the door this year, and I assume they really think they'd be good with another draft class next year.
All right,
so
and now,
salary cap relief.
Because I'm required by state law, say whatever you want in 20 seconds about Jordan Love.
You got to rein it in, young man. I mean, there's no other way to say it. There are risk-reward interceptions. There are bad decision interceptions. You can live with risk-reward interceptions.
Are you surprised or concerned about what you just said?
I'm surprised that it's an issue after how successful the ball control was in the second half of last season.
And that is 20 seconds left. Tim Van Born, Fox 6 Sports. Weekly Wager is next.
Things are looking a little bit slow along southbound 43 from just before Hampton. Going to be pretty solid all the way down to about North Avenue. On southbound 41, slowing from